Hello and good morning to everyone. My name is Lars, and this time let's talk about emergent literacy. But before we start, let's find out first what is emergent literacy. Emergent literacy is mostly associated with the literary development of a child from when they are born until they begin schooling. Despite an inability to read or to write, many children are exposed to these skills from an incredibly early age. With bedtime stories to speaking skills, these are the things that we need to prepare for a child for a carefully crafted learning plans that they will begin from the age of 4 to 5. Next, let's talk one of the pioneers of emergent literacy. She is no other than Doctor Mary Clay, 1926 to 2007. Who is Mary Clay? Mary Clay was the first one who used the term emergent literacy in 1966. Emergent literacy was originally conceived by Mary Clay as a way to convey this process of development. Clay also asserted that literacy development begins early in life and is ongoing. Now, here are the transitions on the perspective of emergent literacy. Change has always defined literacy. Change defines literacy instruction. These are the translations that mark by basic literacy, sociocultural literacy, and functional literacy. But before we start, let's talk about emergent literacy versus reading readiness. For emergent literacy, we have process from birth. For reading readiness, we have master a set of skills. Real life of use for emergent literacy and learn to read by hierarchy of skills. Current concurrent reading or writing for emergent literacy. Learn to read before writing for reading readiness. Informal modeling of illiterate others, and formal teaching and monitoring for reading readiness, and different rates for emergent literacy, and scope and sequence for reading readiness. Here is the transition of the perspective of emergent literacy that are marked by basic literacy, social cultural literacy, and functional literacy. For before we have early literacy was somewhat neglected. Little attention given to a child's literacy assumed that the beginning of literacy was in grade 1. Speaking and listening was learned in early childhood, while reading and writing were learned in school age. Reading instruction was ignored in preschool education. No advocacy for formal reading instruction in early childhood. Preschoolers were not perceived as readers and writers. Waiting for a child's natural maturation to unfold. Preparation through literacy was through the acquisition of a set of prescribed hierarchy of skills. Progression from part to whole, a set of skills or prerequisites to reading. Drills to retrieve skills. Writing had been certainly missing. Writing develops after reading. It has been changed, and this is what happens now. A great deal of attention to literacy development in early childhood. Acquisition of information about literacy begins at birth and continues at the course of early childhood. Development of literacy in child's earliest years. Simultaneous development of language related activities. emphasis on oral language development and preparation for reading, capitalize on child's existing knowledge information about literary and reading and writing experiences. Children are active constructors of the constructors of their own learning. Nature emergent literacy from birth through kindergarten to grade 1. Continuous build of knowledge and oral language, reading and writing. Children learn from meaningful and functional situations. Children are interested and attempt early to communicate in writing, reading, and writing are cultivated concurrently. Now let's go with the learning theories supporting early literacy development. Several learning and child development theories support emergent literacy and likewise early literacy instruction. These theories have assumed a central place in early literacy research and have reflected the variety of perspectives evident. The main goal of the theory in early literacy instruction and research is a description that is to present the central premise of the theory to characterize the nature of early literacy, which constitutes the young learner's literacy at any point of development, and to explain how and why emergent literacy takes place. Here are some of the theories that support early literacy development. With theorists, we have Rossio, Montessori, Dewey, Piaget, Rodel, Pastel, Pastalozzi, and last is we have Vygotsky. Now, let's move on to our next page. Let's talk about the constructivist model. In response to the literacy demands of the 20th century conducted researchers and design programs in literacy have provided specific ways in promoting early literacy. Significantly, one model has been adopted and or had been adopted in early literacy instruction. That is the constructivist model. This is supported by the social constructivist theory of learning. Vygotsky stressed that knowledge is socially constructed by interacting with others in a variety of experiences. Vygotsky said that social constructivist theory or social interaction is the best thing so that they may emerge together with the society because Vygotsky said that self-experience is the best thing to teach for young learners. Social interaction is important to construct their own knowledge and view themselves as a member of a community of learners as they interact with their parents and other literate adults or even their peers. Philosophy of doing undergirds constructivist education, a view on teaching and learning as a conscious process of reconstruction of experience. Now, let's go to the four distinct advantages of constructivist model. First, we have literacy instruction embedded in meaningful social contexts. Second, students' exploration of the functional of literacy. Third, it is a student-centered. And last, it recognizes different life experiences and cultural schemata in the meaning-making process. In a constructivist perspective, young learners set their own goals for literary learning, and monitor their own progress in achieving those goals. Here are the views of on reading. Silverstein on 1987 said, acquainted for the developments in reading instruction. Her paper traced the significant changes in reading instruction as greatly influenced by the trends in language, teaching, and learning. Modern psycholinguistic perspective viewed reading as a complex information processing skill. The reader was an active, planning, decision-making individual who coordinates several skills and strategies to facilitate comprehension. This is presented by Morrow in 1987. Some of the significant views on reading. We have Goodman, Chomsky, Holloway, Vygotsky, and Taylor. For Goodman, reading as a psycholinguistic guessing game, reading as an active process, capitalizes on children's prior strengths, past experiences, and knowledge, and child attempts to reconstruct his own knowledge. For Chomsky, he said that reading to a child aids literary skills. Sorry, literacy skill, increases the interest in books and in learning to read, enhances background information and sense of story structures, familiarization with the language of books. For Holloway, children learn to read naturally in a home environment and interaction with parents. Children emulate the reading model set up by parents. And for Vygotsky, children's all higher mental functions are internalized social relationships. Children increase their independent engagement in reading activities through interaction with literate adults. And for Tale, reading is acquired through socially interactive and emulative behavior. Social functions and convention of reading are acquired through interactive literacy effects. Now let's go with the theories on reading acquisition. Reading theories acquisition, or the reading theorist, agrees that extensive reading is essential for the development of reading comprehension. From a behaviorist perspective, reading is viewed as speech. Thus, a child must possess both the oral skill and oral vocabulary to read successfully. From a quantitative perspective, reading is viewed as extracting meaning from the text. Therefore, a child's view as an active constructor of his or her own reading, as employs his reading skills and strategies, which allow him to comprehend the text. Moreover, he uses schemata as he interacts with the text. Both phonics and meaning needs to be developed in order for the child to have the skills. Next, let's go with theories on early writing development. Children develop their writing naturally through plays, as they make markings on paper, on walls, or anywhere through social interaction. Next, children do a lot of hypothesis testing, experimenting, inventing to construct what they want to be through writing. Vygotsky asserted that child's language begins in the pre-speech communication between parents and infants. Babbling, dada, mom. If you can still remember, or if you experience, or let's just say all of us experience this kind of event where we want to draw something on the wall, like drawing some dinosaurs, or we are trying to draw something that we see out from the book. These are one examples of the early writing development are one of the evidence of early writing development. Let's let's go with early writing acquisition. They noted that children's early literacy experiences are embedded in the familiar situation and real life experiences of family and community membership. As a process, early writing development is characterized by children's moving from playfully making marks on paper through communication message on paper to making text as artifacts. Children learn and uses of written language before they learn the forms. As identified by Dyson and Parker, children's writing develops through constant invention and reinvention of the forms of written language. And last, children involvement in written language through typically embedded in social situation and interactions is essentially self-initiated and self-directed. Harley identified fifth in writing as in talking story making is a primary impulse and activity. And the last is children can learn about writing by observing more skilled others and by participating with them in literary events. Still pointed out that children need to work independently on the functions and forms of writing that they have experienced through interactions with literate others. That's the end of my report for this morning. But before I end the lesson, I just want to quote this. Children must learn on their own. Let the children learn and don't spoil them. Don't force them to learn because learning starts during early childhood. Thank you for listening and have a